Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something crucial, understanding yourself. How that understanding is, well, the bedrock for a successful career, especially one that needs to adapt.
Absolutely. It's fundamental.
We've looked at some really interesting stuff, insights covering everything from, your basic strengths and values to how we handle career changes, build confidence, all that.
Yeah, and the goal here, I think, is to give you some really practical, actionable knowledge.
Exactly. So you can get a clearer picture of yourself professionally, navigate those twists and turns that inevitably come up.
And feel more confident actually going after what you want in your career. It's about equipping you, really.
Right. So let's jump in. A huge theme that came up everywhere is this idea of self-awareness, understanding strengths, values, interests. They almost call it an internal GPS. Why is that so foundational?
Well, think about it. How can you build anything solid if you don't know what materials you're working with? Your strengths are like.
They're the core components.
And it's not just the big flashy talents,
Yep.
being amazing at coding or a natural born leader. Those count, sure,
Uh-huh.
but it's also maybe the quieter things like being super reliable or having that knack for seeing a problem before it actually happens.
Ah, right. The less obvious stuff.
Yeah. And knowing your specific mix of strengths, that's powerful. It lets you tackle challenges in a way that's unique to you. It can be a real advantage.
That combination idea is interesting. So how do we, find these strengths?
Yeah.
The materials suggested trying stuff out, paying attention to what feels good, what you're just naturally decent at.
Mm-hmm.
They gave examples like someone playing soccer realizes their strength isn't just kicking, but seeing the whole field, orchestrating plays, or a writer discovering the flair for persuasion. It's about looking back afterwards, isn't it?
Precisely. That active reflection, you have to consciously analyze things. What tasks do you actually look forward to doing? What feels almost easy, intuitive? And one really practical technique mentioned was the strength finder idea. Basically, listing stuff you enjoy and feel you're good at. But also, and this is key, asking others.
Getting feedback.
Yes. Friends, colleagues, mentors, people you trust. Because often they see strengths in us that we just take for granted.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then you look for patterns in what people say and in your own list. And then the really vital step is thinking, okay, how can I use these strengths right now or in the future strategically?
Okay, so strengths are one piece. Then there are values. The material calls them our internal compass, guiding principles like honesty or creativity or maybe making an impact.
Exactly, those non-negotiables.
And it feels right, doesn't it? That when your work lines up with those deep values, you feel more fulfilled, purposeful.
Oh, absolutely. You see it all the time when people feel really dissatisfied or even burned out. It often boils down to a clash, a disconnect between their day-to-day work and what they truly believe in.
So how do we tune into that compass? The sources suggested asking some pretty deep questions like, what really matters most to me? Or what kind of impact do I want my work to have?
Mm-hmm. And thinking about times you felt really proud or maybe really uncomfortable. Those moments tell you a lot about your values.
Right, those gut feelings.
Yeah. And they're also like structured values assessment tools. They help you rank different values, get clear on your priorities, and then see how well your job or the job you want actually fits with them.
And the third element was interests. Things that just grab you where hours can pass. And it doesn't feel like work. More like play.
Yes. That feeling of flow. When your work taps into genuine interests, it's intrinsically motivating. You don't need as much external push.
So finding those, how? Is it just trying hobbies?
That's part of it, yeah. Hobbies, reading widely, talking to people, especially people in different fields. Ask them what their day is really like. That can spark something unexpected.
So be curious.
Exactly. Pay attention to what genuinely excites you, what pulls you in naturally. A useful exercise is making an interest inventory, basically. List your likes and dislikes. Then really think, could any of these likes become part of my career somehow?
Okay, so putting it all together, strengths, values, interests. It sounds like this self-exploration creates a kind of treasure map for your career. It's not instant, but it guides you.
It really does. It's an ongoing process, though, not a one-time thing.
Right, because we change.
We do. Our strengths evolve, maybe our values shift slightly, new interests emerge. So revisiting this self-reflection is important, especially when things are changing around us.
Which brings us nicely to navigating age. The readings compared career shifts to seasons changing, sometimes expected, sometimes sudden.
A good analogy.
And whether it's a promotion, choosing a new path, or, something tougher like a layoff, Change often brings uncertainty, maybe fear.
Definitely. It's unsettling.
But a key message was trying to reframe that, to see change not just as a problem, but as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery.
That mindset shift is huge because change does push you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's usually where the real learning happens, right? Where you develop new skills, new perspectives.
Mm,
One strategy they highlighted was accepting inconvenience. Growth isn't always neat and tidy. Often it's messy. Being willing to lean into that temporary discomfort. That's part of a growth mindset.
accepting the messiness. I like that. It feels more realistic. What else helps when you're navigating these shifts?
Focusing on control, what can you actually influence? So much might feel out of your hands during big changes,
Wow.
but you always control your mindset, your attitude, your actions. So taking proactive steps, even small ones, updating your LinkedIn, reaching out to a contact, learning a new software that gives you a sense of agency,
Yeah.
it makes the change feel less like something happening to you.
Taking back some control. Makes sense.
And maybe the most important thing, seek support. Don't try to go it alone. Lean on your network, friends, family, advisors, old colleagues, people who can offer advice, encouragement, or just, listen when you need to vent.
Having that backup really matters. And
Hmm.
the material also talked a lot about resilience, like a rubber band, bouncing back. How do we build that up?
Well, it's not really something you're just born with. It's built, cultivated over time.
Okay.
A growth mindset is foundational, believing you can learn and adapt. That helps you see setbacks as, well, learning moments, not dead ends.
Uh-huh.
And basic self-care is crucial. Seriously, sleep, exercise, downtime, that gives you the physical and emotional energy to cope with stress. And like we just said, that strong support network acts as a buffer. Think of them as like the pillars supporting your resilience.
Right. The mindset, the self-care, the support. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know ourselves better. We're getting better at handling change. Now, what about looking forward, setting goals? The readings called this creating a blueprint.
Exactly. And that blueprint needs a solid foundation, which is the self-awareness we talked about. You need to know your strengths, values, and interests before you start drawing up plans.
So you're setting the right goals for you.
Precisely. And then you use a framework like SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. It makes goals concrete.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of, I want to get promoted, a SMART goal might be, I will gain the skills and experience needed to be promoted to senior analyst within the next 2 years. See the difference?
Yeah, much clearer. Actionable.
It gives you something definite to aim for and track. The material also mentioned creating a longer-term vision, like your North Star.
Your guiding star. What's that about?
It's about imagining your ideal future professionally. Say 5 or 10 years out, what kind of work are you doing? What impact are you having? Really picturing that can be incredibly motivating. It helps you make choices now that lead you towards that future.
Okay, vision and goals. But then you actually have to do something, right? The readings talked about deliberate actions.
Mm-hmm. Breaking it down.
Yeah, taking those big goals and chopping them into small, manageable steps.
Yeah.
And then doing them consistently. They used a mountain climbing analogy. You get there step by step.
Exactly right. You need a plan, a strategic career development plan. What are the goals? What are the action steps? What's the timeline? And importantly, where are the skill gaps? What do you need to learn?
So it's proactive.
Very. It means actively looking for ways to grow, taking on new projects, maybe going back to school, finding a mentor. It's about investing in yourself continuously.
Okay, but as we start doing all this, setting goals, taking action, navigating change, there's often that inner voice, right? The lack of confidence, the fear. The material acknowledged this can feel like a really scary leap sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Those internal barriers are real, and they can be powerful. Fear of failure is huge.
Yeah. What if I try and it doesn't work?
Right, that worry about disappointment. But the key insight here is that failure is usually not the end of the story. It's data. It's a chance to learn, regroup, try again differently. It's a stepping stone, as they put it.
Reframing failure as learning.
Exactly. It takes the sting out of it somewhat. Then there's fear of rejection, not getting the job, having an idea shot down. That can really knock your confidence.
For sure.
But rejection is, well, normal. It happens. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not good enough. It's feedback. Maybe the hit wasn't right. Maybe the timing was off. Building resilience means learning not to take it so personally, using it to refine your approach.
And what about those negative beliefs we tell ourselves? Like, I'm not smart enough, or I could never do that.
Limiting beliefs. Yeah, those are insidious. The crucial thing to remember is they are beliefs, not facts. And beliefs can be challenged.
How?
By consciously questioning them, looking for evidence that contradicts them, and actively working to replace them with more empowering, realistic thoughts about yourself. It takes effort, but it's possible.
So how do we actively build that inner confidence, that fortress, as you called it? The material had some techniques.
It did. Self-affirmation is one. Basically, consciously repeating positive statements about yourself. I am capable, I learn quickly, I have valuable skills. It sounds simple, but over time, it can help rewire negative thought patterns.
Okay. What else?
Visualization, picturing success, taking time to really imagine yourself achieving your goal, feeling the positive emotions. It kind of makes success feel more familiar, more possible.
Like rehearsing it mentally.
Sort of, yeah. And then actually doing things. Specifically, taking calculated risks, stepping slightly outside your comfort zone, acknowledging the risk, yes, but focusing on the potential reward.
Hmm.
Every time you take a small risk and it works out, or even if it doesn't but you survive it, that builds confidence.
Which leads perfectly into our last main theme, the upside of taking that plunge. Calculated risks. The readings really push the idea that this is vital for growth.
It really is. If you always stay safe in your routine, you can get stuck, complacent.
Right, stagnation.
Taking calculated risks shakes things up. It forces you to learn, adapt, maybe think differently. It opens doors to innovation and opportunities you wouldn't have encountered otherwise.
And it's not just about the external results, is it? The material said risk-taking actually builds internal strengths, like flexibility and confidence, even if the risk doesn't pay off perfectly.
Exactly. It's like exercising a muscle. The more you push yourself, navigate uncertainty, and deal with outcomes good or bad, the stronger and more resilient you become. You learn you can handle things. That boosts self-confidence significantly.
It makes you more adaptable for the next challenge.
Precisely. And fundamentally, embracing calculated risk promotes that growth mindset we keep coming back to. It reinforces the idea that abilities aren't fixed. By stepping into the unknown, you're actively choosing to learn and grow.
So wrapping this all up, it feels like everything connects back. Self-awareness is the starting point.
The foundation.
It guides your values, helps you set meaningful goals, gives you the grounding to navigate change, and builds the confidence needed to take those calculated risks.
It's all interwoven. Understanding yourself isn't just nice to have information, it's the engine driving a fulfilling and adaptive career.
It's not a destination, you said earlier. It's an ongoing journey.
Absolutely. Constant discovery and refinement.
Okay, so a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day, maybe think about this. What's just one small, manageable step you could take, maybe even today, to explore one of your strengths, or clarify a value, or investigate an interest a bit more?
Or maybe what's one relatively safe risk you've been putting off? Something just outside your comfort zone that might push you forward.
Yeah, just one small thing. We really hope this deep dive has given you some useful food for thought, some sparks for that ongoing exploration.